to the 15th episode of The Astute Engineer. I'm really excited about this one in a completely different way than I normally am. Dane Reynolds, VP of Operations. Known you for a long time. I'm going to come on to your history in a moment.
Okay.
What Dane doesn't know about anti-counterfeiting and prevention, then, it's not worth knowing. But more importantly, how's the music going? Because that, to me, was your first passion. That's what told me everything about you, about how passionate you was about music. Still doing your music?
This was not on the list of questions.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
I gotcha. Music is going okay. I still record a little bit. So I was laughing as he was trying to explain to me how a microphone worked.
Yeah. I didn't tell the guys either.
I wanted to use this room after hours.
Yep.
It's good. I just printed a new LP to release that was actually recorded during, as COVID started. I don't know what's going to happen to the world, so recorded, dumped every song we had, and so I have a record that's printed for a band that just kind of started right before COVID, and I'm not really sure what to do with it. But
okay, I wanted to throw that in there because you're very organized, very disciplined, very detailed, and that was an easy way of throwing a curveball in. But the important thing is the passion. You've got a passion for engineering. You got a bachelor's. When you studied engineering, what did you think? Where did you think that was going to take you?
Automobiles.
Really?
Yeah. I built remote control cars, models. I grew up in Michigan. Detroit is cars. Yep. I was going to design cars. And then as you work your way into mechanical engineering, it became very clear to me that you don't design cars. You design a brake caliper, and you spend hours and hours of your entire life in a cubicle staring at designing a nut on a small part of a much larger thing. And the romance of it just kind of went away.
I guess, so for me, I've always, you look at key traits in people and the values that stand firm, and that's why passion. And I know that you're very passionate about what you do in quality. And I guess the music, the engineering, that attention to detail, that's all born out of this. How long have you been in the industry now?
This is my 16th year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So go all the way back to when you first come in. So very much in that independent broker world. And, that was before the Senate Armed Forces Committee really kicked in, and the whole dynamics changed, and D-files changed, and the perception of an independent changed. How did you quickly pivot? What was the first thing that came to you guys?
We do a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just have a marketing problem when it comes to what just the name independent distributor.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. That was brokers.
Yep.
Say, no. It's just like your stockbroker telling you that he's a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just marketing. It's just a softer term for something that, nothing changed. The guy's still buying his stocks and getting it right sometimes and getting it wrong sometimes. And nothing's changed for a broker. We're still solving problems. We're making sure a plane flies that wouldn't otherwise. We're making sure, a missile launches to protect, defend, that a heart monitor continues to operate. I know that. So when you talk about passion, it comes from that. Ultimately, I don't know necessarily what that microchip's going to do, I don't know what it's going into. But most of the time you can figure out based on a customer,
Hmm.
it's probably going to make the world a better, safer place. It's pretty easy to get passionate about that.
Yeah, and do you know, I think I think you're doing yourself a slight disservice because what I noticed when I first met you, and looking back through your history, because of that engineering mentality, because of quality first mentality, you actually put a big differentiator between what you do and what some of the other, let's call them independents for now, brokers, mum and pop shops. And you made a point of saying, we're going to put quality first. We're not going to introduce risk. So, what did you have to do then? Did you have to relook at the QMS? Did you look at your testing criteria? What was the first thing you looked at?
Anytime you make a change, there's always a sacrifice. If you're going to risk, I mean, if I told you, Mark, never ship a counterfeit ever again. Okay, cool. I won't ship anything. I will achieve my goal,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll go out of business. So you go, okay, well, I still need to ship product, but I can test it and sample it. I'll check every single one of them. It just becomes cost prohibitive and you move very slow and you won't have. So you're constantly having to measure between risk and reward, quality and efficiency, and trying to figure out what's that acceptable level that you're willing to accept in order to ship something. And when you know where it's going, like I just said, where it's going and what it's going to be doing, that's a lot of weight, like
Mm-hmm.
to know that when you're making that decision, you better be right.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure out that exact perfectly nuanced spot where you're measuring the commercial need, it's more, I think at times more art than science, but the more experience you have,
Mm-hmm.
the more gut is there. And the whole time you're doing that, if you have great people who have been trained to do the thing, as you are, they're part of the equation on what you decide to back off on to have more efficiency. But if you trust your operator and they know what they're looking for. So I think that makes it easier when it comes to, I mean, the QMS is important, but part of the QMS is training and all of that. All of those
Mm-hmm.
things you're building up the internal knowledge and what's going to be successful. And that gives you a lot more options when it comes to when you can do more with less.
Yeah, and I guess you as an early adopter for AS68 understanding what the principles were, putting a different process in, but you touched on there, which is more important than ever. You can have the processes, but you've got to train the people and you've got to trust those people. So I assume back then, and I know it feels like a long time ago, it was a whole change of culture. The QMS had to be stronger and tighter, but ultimately you then had to train everyone. You had to get pretty smart very quickly. So how did you go about that? Did you just get leaders to buy into it, or did you just take it on yourself? How did you do that?
It's the same formula. I mean, you just spelled it out. A QMS is essentially say what you're going to do and do what you say. So as long as you're saying good things that have the right results, and then you do those things, the right things will come out the other end. It's just an output.
Yep.
So, and I don't know about you, but I tend to want to surround myself with people who tell the truth. So I hang out with people who say if they're going to come to the movie and they're going to be there at 5, pick me up at 4:30, and they don't, well, that person's probably not going to be in my life anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
same with the QMS. Ultimately, say what you're going to do and do what you say. So if we're doing that consistently as a company and you're demonstrating that to your staff, your team, well, guess what? You keep good people in your life who are going to show up where they said they're going to show up. And the people that work for you who you spend more time with than any of those friends anyway, guess what? They're going to keep coming too,
Yep.
because they'll buy into the culture, which is super important. The output of that is good quality. Now, 6081 then, or any of these standards, it's just a document that says, do this. Okay, well, it's the same thing we just did. We're just going to, my challenge comes with 6081 or any of these standards that tell us being a company that knows what they're looking for, how to do that. I don't see how it adds a whole lot of value, because we already know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just telling me to do a whole bunch of other things to come to the answer that I already knew hours ago.
How difficult was it to then take 6081 mentality, all the work you did, and then push that into 6171?
Just rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it's the
Just
same.
an extension to the processes, the policies, train the people. So, I mean, I look at it slightly different. I think, again, you're being quite humble with your answers here, because it's a big investment of time and effort to go from 6081 to 6171. But even more so for you, because you've got your Austin facility, and you've just literally opened up in Hong Kong with the same principles, keeping the same processes and the same culture and beliefs. But that's in two completely different market sectors. How did you find that? I mean, what challenges hit you there?
Well, I appreciate you saying that it's I don't see a humble answer. I'm not sure exactly what you said, but it's copy and paste, because
Right.
once you build the playbook, you're just applying it again. And a QMS, again, it is like a playbook, but you're not wrong. It's a ton of work. You have to document every single process you're going to do. You have to standardize it, and then you have to train to it. And you have to have the documentation that matches that. And whenever things change, and they do constantly, it has to be updated. And then you're being audited
Yep.
by...
Okay, I'm going to jump in because you're being way too underplaying this. You have been at the forefront of counterfeit avoidance. You've done plenty of keynote speeches. You and I have shared documents, good, bad, and indifferent ones. You're just about to do another speech at the Chaos show. Getting your message out, being front and center, you earn that right, and you've earned that right. So you need to, take that, because you've put a lot of hard yards in before that. But over the last few years, is that message still getting across? Are you still finding people listening? Is it the same audience? So is it a different way of thinking?
What we do is hard. Otherwise, everybody would do it. I mean, there's a reason why there's a reason why an entire symposium or multiple conferences exist around this thing.
Yep.
Not everybody can do it. What I found during COVID, when COVID happened, our market went berserk.
Yep.
I joke, it's not really a joke. I've been doing this 16 years. My parents think that I work for Geek Squad, and I fix computers, like Dane's in computers. I come home and they're like, Dane can fix the computer. And I'm like, that's what he does. And I'm like, it's not what I do. But yes, I can fix your computer, Mom, but it's not what I do. When COVID happened, it was the first time I think it made it very easy to actually explain what we do.
Yeah.
Because that was when it started to be in the news. It was in the news. So many people would know what microchip shortage meant for the first time. It was in national news. It was in Wall Street Journal. It was in, the New York Times. It was common. It became more common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, supply chain became front and center, didn't it?
Yes.
And I think, Yeah, that was a crazy time. It's interesting. My wife does all the tech at home. I
Mm.
mean, I'm borderline useless compared. But I think what that also highlighted, though, was people's buying behaviors and the engineering design behaviors change. People doing so much online,
Yes.
that brings risk into the supply chain.
Yes.
So how do you get that message across that a resilient supplier and a trusted supplier need to go hand in glove?
Well, I think I'm going to try to answer that by finishing my previous thought, because I think they're related. Broker was a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of became, I don't know, a necessary evil.
Yep.
People were trying to cut brokers off their list,
Mm-hmm.
understandably, because if you need a broker, something's broken in your supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Something. It's not always within your control. You can't always see these things. People were expanding. Companies were expanding from 1, 2, 3 brokers to 5, 6.
Yep.
All the brokers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the view on brokers just changed quite a bit. Because really, we're a partner. I mean, just like everybody else, we exist to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
But we fix broken things. We ensure you can make whatever it is, so you can make money.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to help you with that. We're going to go find that thing.
Yep.
Because that's what we do. Your buyers have their go-to places. They have their AVL that they're allowed to go to. They have those things. But when that doesn't work, where do you go?
And I 100% agree. And I think what COVID highlighted and magnified the need is someone to bridge the gap, because borderline distribution had their place. And just in time was unbreakable pre-COVID. You know, people, especially the automotive industry, lived by this.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get supply chain shocks, you need that agility. I still think there's a huge differentiator to be an agile broker and a trusted partner. And I think, you know, we've always tried to find ways to add value,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's in the UK, North America, Asia, and Europe. And I think that's where it came to the forefront. But the challenges it brought as well, because everyone was trying to mobilize again after COVID. Every industry, every manufacturer seemed to have a shortage or took advantage of it. So that put even more pressure on your team. I mean, we're going into a new market cycle. How do you think you've prepared for what's next?
What? So coming out of COVID, it calmed down. You know, the market was crazy, and we saw the chinks in our own armor too.
Mm-hmm.
Like bottlenecks appeared in our process, for sure. 6171, 17025 being pushed down to into brokers and introduce complexity. Customers are afraid, counterfeiting. People got burned because they were adding. You got buyers who are just trying to find parts. Some of them, it's a bit of the wild, wild west.
Yep.
They're clicking around. They're sitting at home trying to fill their own bomb, and they got measured. They're being measured by their leaders, and they're just like, "Oh, I found it," and they're buying it, and they introduce problems. And please don't do that. Call us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
But that happened, and so then the fear goes up, rightfully so. But if you have buttoned up processes and procedures, maybe not so much. And then the hoarding of microchips happen.
Oh yeah,
because the just in time you mentioned it's inventory, it's cash. You got cash tied up, and you just went through multiple shortages of microchips. So what do you do? The same thing people did with toilet paper during COVID. They hoarded it.
yeah.
You know what? And then eventually manufacturing caught up, and you got a garage full of toilet paper, and it's same thing with microchips. And then it flips.
Mhm.
And then they're trying to offload their excess. And guess who they're coming back to us and being like, hey, will you take all my stuff? I was like, we don't really want your stuff.
Yeah.
Because
This is useful as toilet paper.
yes, it is.
Oh.
I mean, I need some. I don't need a garage full. So, and then, here we go back into a bit of the markets turning again. We're all getting busy again.
Mm-hmm.
And that cycle's begun. A lot of people unloaded their excess, but you don't have a crystal ball. You have the wrong. You don't know where the shortage is going to happen. Right now it's happening in memory.
Yep.
Coming out of COVID, nobody knew that was going to happen.
I think that, I guess a couple of things that you touch on there. We had bottlenecks as a business, each site. I think since COVID, the introduction of the Munich facility, I know that your team was helping both Munich and the UK to get the 6171, which is great collaboration. The opening of the Hong Kong facility, that's also going to help.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know what we don't know. We clearly don't. But do you think, maybe this is a tough question to answer. Maybe I should ask Josh this, but do you think the customers have learned? Because we've got contaminated stock out there. You've got people who have double, treble booked, people who've got product from manufacturers direct or from distribution and got product from the open market that may not have been tested. That's coming back out and people are going to start to release that as shortages increase. Do you think the buyer has actually seen this cycle and are going to learn from it? Or do you think we're going to be back with similar challenges? Put you on the spot here.
I mean, I think there's. I'm gonna be a politician here. I'm gonna answer the question the way I want to answer it. You started out by saying you think that the customer has
Mhm.
learned. Yeah, they learned some things, and I think that the main thing that I have felt, and I'm gonna project that into meaning that they've learned that independent distributors are a partner and they are not trying to get you and trying to get
Mhm.
as much money out of you as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We have as many certifications or more certifications than some of the test houses or other partners that our customers may have that say that they ask us to get somebody else to verify it.
Mhm.
And that's a waste of money, in my opinion,
And time.
and time, because it does add lead time,
Mhm.
and it does add more risk. It's another shipment. It's more.
Mhm.
It's more handling. We are the ones who have all the skin in the game. We've bought the parts. We are brokers. We're going to buy the part, check the part, ship you the part, and if you follow the money, we're going to spend our money and pick where we're going to buy that from to mitigate our own risk. After we've gone through the entire process, that's the point at which we sell it. That's the point at which the customer takes on the risk that they've
Mhm.
bought bad parts. We're mitigating that risk with our own money.
Yeah.
And we're not always right. I mean, when you go buy on the open market, well, guess what? That's where that stuff is.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, you're going to end up with bad product.
Mhm.
Well, we're not going to ship it, which means we didn't get paid.
Yep.
Which means now we're chasing it. We're trying to get our money back. And if we get it wrong and we ship it to the end customer, well, we could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key. We don't emphasize that enough, that we put so much providence on that source of supply, because ultimately we don't cash the check. If we can't get that through your test labs,
Correct.
and we're not comfortable that that's 100% authentic, we can't ship. And if we did have an escape, God forbid, but if we do, there's, who knows what tomorrow might bring. We are dealing with all the high rail companies, the aerospace and defense across the world. We can't afford to take that risk.
Mm-mm.
And there are other good actors. We know them. You've worked
For
with
sure.
some, and I've got a lot of time for some of the people who think similar to us, and invested the money into the equipment and the process. But there's also a lot of bad actors still out there. And that's my worry as we go into this news cycle. They've got shiny websites. They all look good. They sound good, but they don't often smell good. And I'm not sure whether all of the customers have understood that risk is still out there.
Mm-hmm.
But, what you've done certainly over the last 10 years, you've instilled that quality first mentality. And I think, you stand by that. And that's back to that passion again.
I downplayed when I come I'm measured by my own things, right? I have operations, which means I want to the sooner I get the answer to the question, the sooner we can ship it. The more I can do with less, the more profitable the company is. Like, I have all of those measurements. So, I mentioned that these standards, they drive me crazy sometimes because I'll have to do more to come to the conclusion that I already have.
Mm-hmm.
But you just touched on the value that they bring.
Yeah.
Because how do you separate the company that's just flipping boxes?
Mm-hmm.
They truly are just a broker. They bring the stuff in, they change the label on it, and they ship it on, they charge you whatever.
Value.
That's dangerous. That's the same thing that your buyer did, who was just like, I found the parts and bought it, and you've like that is not. That's just adding risk, and you're and paying more for that risk.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So yes, there are companies that do what we do, and that is one thing that is a huge value that the certifications and the outside auditing bodies bring. It does tell you who is top tier and who is not. And there's plenty of good companies out there that don't have all these certifications. They are expensive. They are expensive to do and maintain, and but they're an easy, quick check.
Yeah.
You have this or not.
And there isn't anyone who can put a price on what's the cost of non-conformance, but we're never going to take that risk, and you don't want the customers taking that risk. Flight critical, obviously life critical, but actually you've got your brand reputation to think about as well. And there are still some people who are out there to make a quick buck. And the world has changed, and the counterfeiters have got more sophisticated for sure. There's a few companies out there talking about cloned parts. What's your view on cloned parts? Is that evident? Have you seen it? Have you heard about it?
You mentioned this a minute ago, supplier selection. I think a favorite question I get is, from customers, from anybody, "Ooh, how many counterfeits have you seen?" I was like, actually, not that many. Really, we don't, because we don't buy from. Like you eliminate that at the beginning. It's like if you're going to go you're going out to dinner in a town you've never been to, and you need to impress whoever you're taking. Where are you going to go? How do you know where to go? Well, you're going to go to Yelp or Google reviews or whatever, and you're going to look and you're going to see, well, it's 4.8 stars. 4,622 people have said that. It's probably going to be good. Or you're just going to take a flyer on some random place that just happens to be down the road that kind of looks okay. Like, that's good luck with that. I don't know if it's going to work out for you. That's the same with microchips. If we're going to go out and find the parts, the same parts that we've been talking about where the buyer clicked on something and bought it from who knows where, and you end up with a counterfeit issue. We see those people too. I mean, there's only so many places to look.
Oh yeah.
We have our ways of seeing stock that other people do not see, and we're global, so we can look in Thailand and Denmark and Dubuque, Iowa, and maybe you can't. But we also know we also know those
Oh yeah.
vendors. We know who they are. We have resources that, industry, forums and places where we share that information, to where we don't have the Google review, but we can piece together the story to know whether or not that risk is worth taking. And if it's the only parts on the planet Earth based on all of our research, well, then you tell the customer, hey, here's the deal. That part you need, got challenges. Here's the situation. Do you want us to take that risk? I'm not telling you, I found it. Good news. I don't know. I may have found it. I'll bring it in. It might be bad.
Yeah.
But guess what? Even the worst restaurant must have one good dish. Possibly. Otherwise, that guy who decided to open that restaurant, like, if all of your food sucks, nobody's saying, Mark, you should open a restaurant. Everything you cook sucks. No, it's probably more like, your spaghetti is amazing. And you make a restaurant, you're like, well, I can't only serve spaghetti. So you make all this other stuff and it sucks.
I do a good spaghetti, to be honest.
Well, there you go. So that doesn't mean that supplier may, even we know nuanced whether or not a supplier might be awesome at TI, but everything else, I don't order that.
And look, I repeat, we're both trying to get that message out. I think there's still customers who need educating. I still think there's people who are oblivious to the risk, think they're immune to the impact. And as horrible as it sounds, you need them to be hit and be hurt and feel the pain to understand what a trusted partner with value can bring. But I could talk to you all day long about the counterfeit threat that is a whole supply chain threat. But let's swing back quickly, because I normally talk to people and ask about a book that's inspired them. But I'm going to do two things with you, because you made a good analogy about going to the movies. So it's very difficult to give a top 5 movies, right? I'm sure we've all done that around a bottle of wine and you don't get anywhere. But a movie that inspired you.
Oh man, not a movie guy. Oh, that inspired me.
Yeah. All right, let's flip that.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the original script then. You read, you're an educated man. What book would you recommend?
I thought you were going to go back to music. Ask me about what album, what artist. Okay. A book. Recently, I think that everybody who's in this world in the world of microchips, especially in independent distribution or with Chip Wars, is a wonderful book to read, just for the understanding as to how fragile our supply chain is.
Yep.
And it's the timing of it coming out was perfect, considering what was going on in the world, and it's still very relevant today, especially as you see the moves that America is making with the Chip Act and what's going on in Taiwan and China and all of these things. So it's definitely worth reading to understand. As far as a book goes that inspired me, I really like I do read a lot of the more businessy books, and I think Lencioni's books are really good when it comes to just bringing things to, he gets this like single point across, and it's the book that's on my mind right now. I don't know if it's the best choice, but I was just talking to somebody here at Astute Limited here. I was talking to somebody about measuring and making sure that you're measuring the right things. The title of the book is escaping me, but in the book, they had a guy bought a restaurant.
Okay.
In the restaurant, he was talking about, he had a host. It was not a hostess. It was somebody who was serving through a drive-through, and they were trying to measure whether or not that person was successful or not. And they figured out, he asked the person to just measure how many smiles he got. And just if you made the person smile, tick box. If you didn't, don't tick it. At the end of the day, you would know whether or not you were succeeding based on did you get more smiles or less smiles, or what percentage of people did you make smile? And as a result, doing the right thing, giving that person a good time, the output will be an increase in business.
Yeah.
So it's the same message I've said over and over again. If you say what you're going to do and do what you say, I'm not that worried about the actual KPI metric of things. I just know that if you make incremental changes, if you know that you're doing the right thing over and over again, the output will be what you want.
Absolutely. I mean, commit to the commitment. And you can look, some very small things make big changes.
Atomic Habits would be a good choice there too, right?
Atomic Habits is a great book. So we're going to close on that. I think we're going to have to carry this on. We do that over a beer, maybe not with a camera. But look, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to the Astute Engineer podcast again. If anyone actually remembers the name of the book, please put it into the notes. If not, I'm sure Dane will add to it another point. But great talking to you. Keep fighting the fight. I like the tagline of us trying to protect the people who are building equipment to protect us. That's kind of what we're doing. And you're doing a great job at it. So
thank you.